YouTube as a platform represents an amazing opportunity. You can travel, explore the world, and basically fund your life abroad simply by diarizing your experiences and sharing what you learn with the rest of the world. If you have ever considered doing this, you're going to want to watch this video very carefully and take notes. We had the opportunity to speak with two Canadian expat YouTube celebrities with almost 1.5 million subscribers on the channel. And they are going to share their secrets to success. It is a pleasure to welcome an amazing couple from Canada who are currently living in Japan. They are funny, sometimes very serious, but more than anything, authentic. Simon and Martina, welcome to the Canadian Expat.
Thank you.
Super excited to have you two here. These two are amazing individuals. They have almost 1.5 million subscribers, as I mentioned, but it would probably be best for them to explain what their channel is all about. Simon and Martina?
Sure. So about 10 years ago or so, we moved to Korea, 2008. And we originally went to Korea to teach because we did our Bachelor's of Education in Toronto. So we were going to be high school teachers in the Canadian school system.
Right.
We were going to do the international school circuit. And we started out teaching in two public schools. I did high school, all girls, and you did
I did a co-ed middle school.
And we decided to just document our adventures along the way because back in the day, there was no iPhone and FaceTime and Skype was barely up and coming.
Yeah.
And so our parents were scared, obviously, because I'm from Toronto. So I grew up in Etobicoke and you're from...
I grew up in Pickering.
Which is just outside of Toronto. Yeah. It's in the GTA. And it was really scary for us to just go overseas abruptly. And then slowly this whole YouTube thing turned out to be a career that none of us could have possibly seen.
No plan. We had no dreams of it. We were just using it as a means of showing our parents that we weren't abducted and that we were safe and everything was fine.
Yeah.
And then for some reason, other people started watching it and even more and more started doing it to the point that I could quit my job as a teacher after 2 years, and then Martina could quit hers a year later. And then it just kept on growing to the point that we got a studio in Korea. We hired a lot of staff. We opened up a coffee shop. We started doing world tours and whatnot. And we have a merchandise line. And this is just way bigger than we had ever anticipated. And if everything goes to shit tomorrow, then I'll fully understand. Because we're a part of the older generation that didn't grow up with YouTube. So
it's still kind of scary.
It's still very scary to us.
The wild, wild west, for us.
Yeah.
But I think that we connected a lot because a lot of Canadians as well reached out to us because they too were going through the same work systems and experiencing the same things we were. And we were very adamant at answering everybody's emails and questions online.
Right.
And so then I think that's how we kind of connected with a lot of expat. Well, they became expats when they came overseas.
And we still are, even to this day. Like, we can't answer all of the emails and comments that come in because that would be physically impossible. But we try our best. We connect with our audience as much as we can, and we try to answer all the questions that we have the time to.
So it sounds like you are now full-time YouTubers, and that's all you do. You did have a cafe in Korea, though, right?
Yes, we opened up a coffee shop, yes.
What about here in Japan? Do you have anything other than the YouTube channel now, or is this enough for you?
Well, we have our merchandise line, which I draw all the stuff. So we do like our own sketching and drawing, and then we, put it online. But otherwise, right now, we're really focused on trying to explore Japan because one of the big things in Korea we were unable to do was really travel as much as we wanted to. We still went to like a lot of cities to cover, like we covered Jeju-do, we covered Busan, we covered Cheonan, like we covered like tons of different places.
Yeah.
But you're focused on running a business. You got to have an accountant and you've got a lawyer and you've got the taxes
and whatnot. And like now that we're in Japan, we're trying to take it a little bit more easy. Being like managing that many projects back in the day, we barely slept at all. And now we're trying to do something called sleep and, exercise and take care of ourselves a little bit more. We have lots of opportunities and lots of offers that come our way, and we consider them a lot. But, the thing that we try to focus on more is just, our videos and our well-being.
Quality of life.
Yes, and quality of life.
If a Canadian were to approach you and ask, well, how would I get set up and do YouTube? I'm planning to move to Korea or Japan or Mexico or China. What would you recommend they do? Do you have any advice for them?
It's going to sound super simple, and everyone always just doesn't choose to take this advice. But really, don't worry about your setup, your gear, your lighting. Am I going to be likable? Am I saying something funny? Everybody has somebody out there that they match with. People don't all like our personality. We have a very quirky, strange, we're a very weird little couple.
Some of our videos become very, very popular. And then for the people that aren't necessarily our audience that find us, they're like, holy shit, I don't like these people.
You guys are
As I'm sure there's going to be some people watching this interview also going to be like, whoa, they're not my cup of tea. And we totally understand that.
So what I want people to understand is that just start documenting yourself.
Yeah.
You're going to Mexico, you're going to Thailand. Like, this is an amazing experience that you're going to go through. It's going to shape your life. As you know, living overseas changes your mind, and you see the world in a totally different way. So everyone has a phone now that has some kind of camera on it. Like, we're not doing the flip phone era, which we were part of. We all know that. You know, you just shoot with your phone, be yourself. Don't think about like trying to be big. Just think about expressing your message that you want to show people.
So we sound very much like hippies in this way, because I think the question that people are really meaning to ask when they ask about YouTube is, how do I become rich and famous on YouTube? Which is kind of the same, like, how do I become like a Hollywood actor and want to, sometimes it's just luck. And, you know, for us, that's what it was. You know, we put in a lot of hours into it. We focus less on trying to become big and more just trying to do something that we find fulfilling and finding a message that we want to share. So be yourself.
Be yourself. And I think, like, to add to that, Ducky, that's like really well said, is that the reason why being yourself actually works is because you keep making videos because you enjoy it. When you create like a persona or you have an image of what you want to do, that can really grate at you if you're trying to put out like 3 to 5 videos a week. But if you're just recording yourself and you don't have to change, like if you're like, hey, today I'm making pasta and like I spilt it everywhere, and that's just who I am, I don't have to worry about like redoing it or retaking it. And that's why being yourself matters, because otherwise you won't be able to stay on the YouTube platform for the long run.
I think the currency that matters the most online is authenticity. And when people try to get online to make a quick buck, then they sacrifice their authenticity for easy money. And we've been offered buckets of money to do things that we didn't want to do, and so we turn them down because we don't want to sell ourselves short, and we want to keep on doing the stuff that we like. While we know other people that have gotten to the career of YouTubing and have only focused on making money and live miserable, shitty lives.
We know them, and
we know some of them.
This?
And so we're trying to advocate like a creativity and like a sense of well-being at the same time, which for some business savvy people isn't what they want to do, but for us, that's what we enjoy.
Right. I noticed that many of your videos seem to feature food, right? Which is brilliant. One of my favorite subjects.
We like to eat.
We like food.
Did you do that purposely, or did you simply fall into that mode?
Our very first video was on sundubuchige, which was like a hot tofu stew. And we had just gotten off the plane from our first flight to Korea, landed with the worst Korean ever. We were like, oh no, say oh, like it was just terrible accent. And we just started documenting food because we were thrilled to try this food that we had never experienced before. It was just an accident. And we just happened to really like food. And so that kind of stuck with us.
But since we moved to Japan 3 years ago, they take food very seriously. It's a whole other level than anywhere else that we really know.
You know.
So like there's like a lot of people that really hone in on the craft. And when we started being exposed to these chefs, it was kind of like a Hydra's head. Like you ask one question and then 2 more pop up. And we're just like following like wherever this food path is taking us, and we're learning so much about it. And it wasn't initially the plan. We're just going where our curiosity is taking us.
It really sparked like a new passion, because you know, you have ramen in Japan for the first time and you go, how have I been missing out on this flavor?
Right.
And then you find out that you're eating like the McDonald's of ramen. You're like, what? There's better than this?
Yeah.
And then you find out that you could spend your whole life traveling all over Japan to different prefectures, just focusing on ramen and watching your stomach get huge. So, you know, you have to do like a balance. Like we have so many things to look at in Japan that we're kind of actually holding back on, like, okay, let's calm down.
Right.
Take our time, you know?
Speaking on that subject, future plans?
Well, I definitely I'm not sure if we can live in Japan for the rest of our lives, even though we do love it here. There's something about Canada that's calling back to us. In which, like, when at least for myself, when I lived in Canada, I didn't know that much about it. I didn't really think that much about it. I consider myself more Polish than I consider myself Canadian. But since living overseas, now I'm like, yeah, there are a lot of things about Canada that I didn't appreciate before that I want to try to explore. So I hope that maybe one day all of these like skills that we've learned, all this information that we've gained, we could try to bring back to Canada and apply there, try to promote the things in Canada that surprise us, because the way that we move to Asia and we're like really like flummoxed by a lot of it. Now, when we go back to visit Canada after 10 years, like, whoa, there's a lot of things that changed here. Like, there are a lot of things that we didn't know. And I want to bring that wide-eyed excitement to our videos in Canada. Maybe, we're not sure.
Simon really hasn't seen a lot of Canada. My family's from East Coast Canada, from like Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. And I spent every summer in the East Coast, and then I'd come back to Toronto. So I have this kind of balance of city life versus, you know, a calmer kind of more grounded life. And I've always talked to him about my granddaddy and my Nana. And Simon is really thrilled to go experience East Coast Canada. And,
I'd love to. That sounds like my jam.
And so I think that we imagine, we never set things in stone, but like our feeling is that we would love to come back to Canada and do like an east to west tour, which of course would take years, but that's fine. We would document food.
It'd be our new project. You know? But we really love Japan at the moment. It's really great here.
For those looking at moving to Japan, even if it's not to do YouTube, what would you suggest they do to prepare?
Like a first time coming to Japan person?
Yeah.
One thing that kind of sounds like it's backwards advice. It's kind of to not prepare, because we get so many comments and emails from people saying that they want to come to Asia, but they're scared that they don't speak the language and they can't read anything. And like, how do you communicate with people? And it's like this big fear that people have.
Or a lot of people like over plan what they want to do. They're like, I'm going to be here for this amount of time. I'm going to do this. And I'm going to go here. I'm going to go here. A lot of people don't leave themselves open to what will actually happen around them, because they come here with a set of ideas about what they want to experience. And sometimes you just have to come with an open mind and like no plans and just be prepared to wander and have what comes at you, which is terrible planning advice, I know, for some people, you know?
Well, I would say that it's just leave room for happy accidents. Because of course, you know, have an idea. Like, I want to go to Shibuya and I want to go to like this one place, but give yourself some time as well to just get lost, like to just go down an alleyway and go and look at a shop. And when you feel that kind of tug, like, oh, I want to be in the shop. Don't let your fear of not speaking the language stop you. Go inside. Like, we've gone to countless places when we first went to Korea and just pointed at something on the menu or just looked at what someone else is eating and like learning sign dancing. What do we always call it?
Charades. Charades are your best friends. You're going to love them.
You can be like, you know, this, like, what is it? And so we've made friends, and then those friends have said they've spoken English. We were surprised. Like, they said, oh, let me show you my friend's ramen shop. And we're like, okay. And we've just met people and we've gone on adventures. And
there's actually a restaurant that we go to in which we don't understand their Japanese accent, but it's a French restaurant, and we can speak a little bit of French with them back and forth. And you find the path of least resistance between getting your ideas across to each other.
And okay, as a Canadian here, let's just say this. They speak French with a hard Japanese accent. And he's too scared to speak to us in English. And so he has convinced himself that we communicate better in French, but he has like a thick Japanese accent. And we were like going through layers of accents, but it's an amazing time.
I think, well, there's something in Japan, I'm not sure if you heard about this before, called Paris syndrome. I think it's something along those lines, in which a lot of people in Japan hear about how great Paris is going to be from watching videos or like Amelie, and then they go to Paris and they realize it's not as great as they want it to be, and then they have a little bit of a mental breakdown. And I find something similar with some people that watch a lot of like Japanese TV shows and dramas and anime, and then they come here and it doesn't live up to their expectations. That doesn't mean that it's not going to be a good experience. You just have to leave yourself open to something that's outside of the representation of what media shows you. Because even our lives aren't going to be like what other people experience as well. We're just trying to show different facets, and I hope that people can be open to things not going according to plan.
Simon and Martina, thank you for spending an afternoon with us. I'll put a link to your channel below in the description. Let's get you to 2 million subscribers soon.
I hope so.
That'd be nice. We're a slow growing channel. We've never been like a big boom channel.
We're not going to be PewDiePie, and we have no aspirations to be. We're just trying to do the things that we enjoy.
Yeah, putter along and eat ramen.
Yeah.
You sound very Canadian.
Thank you.
Again, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you.
Stay warm.
And to everyone watching, thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this, please hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do so. Until next time.